this entire Seahawks season changes if Geno Smith truly is hurt. And by truly hurt, I don't mean that there's not an actual injury going on right now, but truly hurt, I mean having to miss significant time of the regular season, an injury that actually causes a big setback. Because he is actually hurt, and that's a scary sight to see for a team that is really depending on Geno Smith being a top 15 quarterback in the NFL. Now, a lot of people, it just depends what you think of Geno Smith. There's a lot of people that think this team goes nowhere with Geno Smith. He's not good enough to be a, quarterback that takes you deep into a playoff run, whatever you want to call it. I don't see it that way. Now, I'm obviously not going to sit here and say Geno Smith's presence is one of Patrick Mahomes or Jalen Hurts or, maybe even for new young guys, CJ Stroud or Joe Burrow. But his presence does cause a huge difference with the team. I do see him as, now these guys have a potential they do have a longer career and a better future most likely than Geno Smith, the way I see it. But right now, if the Jaguars lost Trevor Lawrence or, Jared Goff gets hurt and then he's not on the Lions, or even a Justin Herbert who just got hurt, plantar fasciitis, I think today, if he gets hurt, we're kind of on that same level. And Geno's outperformed those guys for a few years now almost. And whether people believe it or not, he's on that level of, and like I said, Jared Goff was actually at a different level last year. But like I said, Trevor Lawrence, Justin Herbert, even Tua Tagovailoa, I always have trouble saying it. He was on that same level as those guys. Now, they're all younger and might have a brighter, better future and end up better than Geno Smith. But right now, it's the same impact to the team. And my last two videos on this channel, I believe it was, one was Geno Smith and, how this offense is going to be really good. And not sleeping on Geno Smith. And he's going to be really good. And, of course, we know early on, there's no contact quarterbacks. The whole training camp usually, there's no touching quarterbacks unless he plays in a preseason game. Well, on Tuesday, the report is that, this is according to Corbin Smith, there was a play on Tuesday where he had a bit of a hitch in his step after a pass rusher and had a glancing blow on him. It didn't look like much of the time, but it looks like that may have been what suffered the injury. Corbin Smith says he didn't seem to be moving poorly the rest of the practice, but that could be one of those situations where he started to feel it the day after. And this is also not the only person I saw report this. Pretty much, obviously, quarterbacks have non-contact. That's why they usually wear the red jerseys. For the Seahawks, I think the Ravens do this, and that's why Mike McDonald's doing it. It's now home jerseys for the offense, away jerseys for the defense, the white, and then the throwbacks for the quarterback, the lighter blue color. But they're usually in that red jersey, which means don't touch them. It turns out there was an accidental hit on Geno Smith on Tuesday, and many people believe that's what's caused this hip or knee issue. The first that I saw come onto the scene to talk about it was Mike Duger. I never know how to say it, from The Athletic. Geno Smith will undergo imaging, and they'll know more about his status after that. When asked what exactly Geno is having examined, Mike McDonald wouldn't say. We were told on Wednesday that it is a knee or hip issue. We continued with another quote Brady Henderson put on. He missed talking about Geno Smith missing the last two practices. Mike McDonald said he's working through a couple things from the other day, but we're going to get some imaging tonight and we'll see. So I'm not sure, if we're going to get some of the answers about him being banged up a little bit and what the imaging says until tomorrow's press conferences or whatever it may be. Maybe we'll get it on some tweet tonight. Who knows? But that's what's going on and the testing is happening. So what does this mean? This means right now, as of this moment, Sam Howell moves up to QB1. Yes, Sam Howell. There's PJ Walker there too, which actually a lot of people said, a lot of the reports, I'm not at camp right now, but a lot of the reports out of camp is that for the first few days, PJ Walker was outperforming Sam Howell. But it sounds like, I think Brian Nemhauser put this on his channel today too, it seems like Ryan Grubb had Sam Howell on the move a little bit more, running out of the pocket, and Sam Howell began to, get back to looking like how he did at glimpses of last year. And let's not forget what Sam Howell did against the Seahawks last year. Sam Howell is not great. Not a great quarterback. Do not get me wrong. I'm not going to sit here and pretend he was, I don't know. Like, I'm not going to pretend he was a super duper good player. But against the Seahawks. The Seahawks won by 3, 29-26. But he did come back. I remember with 50 seconds left, drive down the field. Hal was 29 for 44, 312 yards, and 3 touchdowns against the Seahawks last year. Now, don't get me wrong. The Seahawks defense made people look bad. Made people look good a lot of the times. Made a lot of quarterbacks look better than they are. But Sam Howell did have some potential. But let's see how we compare to each level. Geno Smith, the last 2 years. 2022 was a 69 completion percentage, 4,200 yards, 30 touchdowns, and 11 picks. And then last year he was at 65 pretty much completion percentage, 3,600 yards, 20 touchdowns, 9 picks with a 92 quarterback rating. You go to Sam Howell, 63% completion, even lower than Geno's last year, which was a complaint by a lot of the fans. 3,900 yards, but I believe he threw the ball more than any quarterback in the entire NFL, if I'm not mistaken. I believe he had the most pass attempts, or at least near the end of the season, he had the most amount of pass attempts at some point. 21 touchdowns, 1 more than Geno, and 21 picks, which is obviously 11 more than Geno. A 78.9 quarterback rating, which is far less than Geno Smith's for the past 2 years. Geno Smith past 2 years pretty much at a 96 average. Average of 25 touchdowns and 10 picks, right in the middle there, and 3,800 yards. Geno Smith's been a really good quarterback, whether you believe it or not. PJ Walker's the other option, who last year had a 49% completion percentage, 674 yards, 1 touchdown, and 5 picks. He will not be playing a snap of starting quarterback for the Seahawks this year unless somehow Sam Howell and Geno Smith get hurt. Now, where do we go from here? Is this serious or is it not? I'm going to take a guess from the wording. He's out indefinitely from training camp. But it sounds like all the reports say that's just the label right now. And this is potentially, yes, there's an issue, but there's some precautionary stuff where don't get him out on the field until we get imaging, until we're 100% certain. We have more than a month and 7 days till September 8th, game 1 of the NFL season for us, the week 1 game against the Broncos, I believe it is. It is the Broncos, actually. Week 1 against the Broncos, September 8th. We have a month and 7 days. Don't rush anything. Out indefinitely for training camp can mean 3 weeks. Fine, be out 3 weeks. Come back August 20-something and have a couple weeks, 2 weeks to get revamping. Because everyone's been saying Geno Smith's been elite. Jaron Reed said it. Ryan Grubb's talking about how elite ball skills he has. Receivers are talking about it. Everyone's talking about it. Even reporters, and reporters aren't always biased, right? There's reporters that, will tell you if somebody's playing bad at camp. But everyone's saying Geno Smith looks like he's taken another level up. His body looked great. I guess he got hurt now. His body looked great. He's been playing elite football. And something I've been talking about on a lot of Twitter, which, by the way, you can always follow me on Twitter at Sammy ONTAP here. I talk 99% Seahawks, and sometimes I tweet some Mariners. And on Instagram, I talk on my stories sometimes. Just follow me on social media if you want to get a little more in depth what I talk about every day when it comes to the Seahawks. But I've been talking about the bargain that Geno Smith is. I mean, his average was he has a 3-year, $75 million contract, essentially. So $25 million a year. We're looking at guys like Trevor Lawrence making $55 million, and Kyler Murray making $55 million, and Tua making $55 million, and Jared Goff making $50 million. For how Geno Smith plays, this $25 million a year contract, for how good he's been, is phenomenal. But what scares me now is, like, at that value, we only have Geno Smith at $25 million the next 2 years at age 34 and 35. If Geno Smith's going to make a humongous impact and this team's going to win, let's say win a playoff game, 2 playoff games, make a run in the playoffs with Geno Smith, it's got to be this year. I think next year, the cap hit goes from $26 million to $38 million. It's going to be hard to sign other guys around him. I don't know if he's going to keep. He has less hits on his body than any other quarterback right now that's like starting in the NFL, really, other than the rookies, like anybody that's in his 30s. But he's going to be 35, then 36 and a free agent. The window is now of Geno Smith. And you got a new coaching staff and a new offensive coordinator. This is not the time for us to have, mixed and matched quarterbacks and Geno Smith hurt for 1 week and healthy for 1 week. So I think they're taking every precautionary stance here to make sure that he doesn't play unless he's 100% or gets close enough to 100%. And I think that's where we stand with Geno Smith. So I'm definitely concerned. I'm very concerned when I hear out indefinitely in training camp and imaging tonight on a hip and knee issue on an accidental hit on Tuesday that when a quarterback's not supposed to get hit in camp. Definitely concern level at like a 6 or 7. But I think it could be a lot worse. I think it could be an obvious he's out for a couple weeks, couple months, might not be ready by the start of the season, those type of words. We're not getting those words. We're getting that let's just see what the images say. So hopefully the images come out good. And as I said, I don't want to have to resort to Sam Howell. Now, I think the only chance the Seahawks have to make this a useful season if Geno does get hurt is somebody like Sam Howell. Obviously, if Sam Howell somehow breaks out and becomes a phenomenal quarterback, or Ryan Grubb turns him into one, well, the other option is if Sam Howell just has to play a week or two. But once again, the biggest concerns for me there is that first 4 weeks is some of our most winnable games. So what I was hoping is obviously if you have Geno Smith and you have this offense rolling and everybody's healthy, week 1 against the Broncos, you can win that game. Week 2 against the Patriots, you can win that game. Week 3 at home against Miami, it's winnable. At Detroit, we've been good. I'm not going to say we're going to win that game, but it's winnable. And week 5 against the Giants at home, winnable. You could start off this season 3-2, 4-1. It's very possible. If you're running with a backup quarterback, I'm not sure we're going to be talking about, a possible situation where we're going 3-1, 4-1 with Sam Howell. But I could be wrong. You never know. Or maybe there's a move to be made. So I just wanted to come on and talk about it. Yes, my concern levels are pretty medium right now, medium high, because you just never want to hear that, right? You see the Chargers situation. Everyone's saying it's plantar fasciitis with Justin Herbert, but he's likely to be ready by the beginning of the season. Chargers fans don't want to hear that either. Your quarterback's likely to be ready and he's dealing with an injury before we even started the season. That always results in something bad. Like, it's rare where a quarterback comes into the season with a problem already and just, oh yeah, I went all 17 games plus the playoffs and I was healthy. So I am concerned. I'm hoping it's so minor that the images don't even show anything and he needs to just wait it out for a week or two and just let his body relax, just some bumps and bruises. But if anything comes up on that imaging that's concerning, we're talking about out indefinitely. He's going to be out the next 3-4 weeks of camp. I would get worried that it's going to take time to get back to game speed. Week 1's in 37 days, 38 days. We're getting closer and closer. But if it's a banged up, bruised up, we're okay. We have time. Like I said, if imaging shows something, my concern level starts to go through the roof because I'm not ready to commit this season to Sam Howell. But if we have to, we fucking will, because I'm just going to ride or die with the Seahawks per usual. We'll see what happens. I'll keep you posted. As I said in my video yesterday, I'm trying to come back at least 3-4 times a week on this channel. So like and subscribe if you want that to happen. The more love, send it to a friend if they love the Seahawks. The more love I get, the more I can come on and find time to do this. This is 2 days in a row, so I'm pretty proud of myself, to be honest. But we'll be back soon. Make sure you check out my other channels. I always plug stuff with Sammy. It's like me talking about being a content creator in my life. You'll see and learn more about my life if you get on there. And check out my social medias at Sammy ONTAP on Twitter, Instagram, wherever you want to, check out the stuff. I talk more there. Seahawks football too. So I love you guys, and we'll see you next time.